What's up? It's Ben from Wad Prep, and I am here with the lovely Dr. Justine Ward, who is also a sleep expert. And we are here to talk to you about our top 5 tips for CrossFitters to help you sleep better. We are currently on set right now recording our brand new course called Recovery RX, which is a course that teaches CrossFitters, or really anyone that does any sort of fitness, how to optimize their recovery for health and performance. The most important aspect of recovery that you would learn in the course, and that we'll tell you right now, the most important aspect is sleep. So this video, we're going to share 5 things that will help you sleep better, and a few of them are pretty unconventional. It's not just like, get a nice bed. There's a lot more than that. There's a lot more involved to get our internal systems and clocks working, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you are someone who's interested in recovery, we have the ultimate guide to recovery for CrossFit that I would love to give you for free. If you want to know everything that we know about recovery and optimizing recovery for performance, then be sure to grab Recovery RX when it is officially released, and you can always get that inside of Wad Prep Academy. So without further ado, let's get started. Tip number 1 for optimizing our sleep is pretty intuitive. Track sleep. What do you mean by that? Why is it important to track sleep, Justine?
Well, I mean, the first step to solving any problem is knowing that you have one. And I've talked to lots of people over the years, and I fell in this boat solidly myself before I started tracking my sleep, where I didn't really think that my sleep was a problem.
Right, I thought my sleep was fantastic, and then I got wearable technology.
Yeah, and once you start tracking it, then you start to realize that, oh wait, just because I passed out last night, just because I was in bed, just because I don't think I woke up a whole bunch, doesn't mean that I actually got the best quality sleep, the most efficient use of my sleep time. Doesn't mean that when I woke up this morning, my body was actually firing on all cylinders and had fully recovered from the day before. So when we track our sleep, especially now that we have really great wearable tech options to do that, it can help us to get more of an insight into this really important part of our lives that has been mostly ignored, especially by people who are in fitness, because we're so focused on our macros and the food that we're eating and the workouts that we're doing.
And the training, yeah, especially.
And we expect that sleep's just going to take care of itself. And then once you start focusing more, you start to realize maybe your sleep schedule has been completely erratic. Maybe you're actually not getting deep enough sleep. Maybe you're not getting enough REM sleep. Maybe you're not sleeping fully through the night. And those are all things that you can then start to address and change to have better outcomes when it comes to your sleep and recovery.
Absolutely. There's one thing that we preached in the course as we were filming is that sleep is a skill. Just like double unders and pull-ups and ring muscle-ups and all the other things that we release on this channel, sleep is just as much of a skill, and it's something that we can actually train our body to get better at. So let's optimize it, and you're going to be amazed at how much your performance improves. What's really cool, again, still harping on point number 1, which is actually tracking your sleep. What's really cool now, these days, within the last few years, you no longer have to go to a sleep study center and hook up whatever these things electrodes to your brain. And be the lab rat. You can kind of be your own lab rat. You can grab a Whoop, you can grab a Garmin watch, an Apple watch, an Oura ring. Those are the kind of the main ones that we've used to track our own sleep. And kind of regardless of which, there's some pros and cons, which we talk about in the course, but regardless of which one you use, you're going to start getting insights into your actual sleep data. And again, when we say track your sleep, we're not saying, what Whoop score do you get? Or what does Oura give you for a score? We're not looking at the score. We want to actually see the raw data of when you're going to bed, when you're waking up, how long you're sleeping, how many disturbances do you have, what's your heart rate, things of that nature. And again, we do go into much more detail in the free guide that I'll share at the end of this video, and then also much more detail in the course to give you the exact metrics that you should be looking at and recording. So with that being said, we are tracking our sleep, just in general. We're becoming more aware of if we have a problem or not. The second point that you want to make, the second tip we want to share with you to help you optimize your sleep is to try to go to bed and wake up at the same time. What's important about that? Why are we not just saying sleep more?
Yeah, so this comes back to what you were just saying about sleep being a skill. And our bodies have to do all sorts of intricate processes for us to get the most efficient possible sleep. And the more that we can cue our body to do that, the more efficiently it's going to enter those processes. And that means doing it at the same time every day, right? Being like a Pavlov's dog. If you have the same cue, and one of those can be the timing cue to initiate sleep, and you maintain consistency with that, your body's going to drop in faster, you're going to get deeper sleep, you're going to get more efficiency of like the electrical activity that needs to happen in your brain. And science has actually shown us that even if you're, say, sleeping 6 hours, which is below what most people are being recommended to sleep every night, if you sleep 6 hours on a very consistent basis, say midnight to 6 a.m. every single night, your sleep quality and your performance outcomes from those hours of sleep are actually better than people sleeping longer on a more sporadic schedule.
That's fascinating. So rather than always trying to get more sleep, sometimes just focusing on going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time is really beneficial. I thought of this while you're mentioning it, and it's somewhat appropriate, but like body functions, like for me, like I'm regular. A lot of us we go to the bathroom at the same time every single day for most people, and that's just a natural bodily function. Our sleep needs to be treated like the same way. And if we have these natural rhythms of sleep, rather than trying to fight off getting tired and going to bed at the same time, or try to fight waking up when our body wants to wake up, if we just embrace our natural rhythms of sleep and try to go to bed consistently at the same time and wake up at the same time, we might actually notice that what happens in between bedtime and wake up is a lot more effective and productive.
And it's also something we have a lot more control over, right? Like actually forcing yourself to fall asleep is really, really difficult. Our brains and our bodies aren't set up to be able to be like, all right, I'm gonna go to sleep now. So we have much more control over at least getting into bed at the same time every single night. And when you're starting to control that pathway, then the rest of it starts to fall into place a little bit more.
Interesting. So for the rest of the video, we have a couple more points, and they kind of all come back to this thing of like being able to fall asleep easier and with more consistency. Point number 3 that we want to talk about is making sure that your hardest exercise happens earlier in the day. Why is that important for optimizing sleep?
Sure. So there's a couple of reasons why. One is that when you are exercising, you're creating a stress response in your body, and you're elevating your heart rate. You're having more sympathetic input, which is a part of your nervous system that is kind of like your fight or flight response, which is the opposite of the side of your nervous system that you want to be dominant when you're sleeping. So when you're highly activating that system, you want it to be far away from the time that you want to be spending resting and sleeping. You're also increasing your core body temperature. And one of the hallmarks of actually dropping into deep sleep is seeing your body temperature drop by a couple of degrees. And so if you're elevating your body temperature really close to bedtime, it's going to be harder for your body to drop your core temperature quickly in order to get into deep sleep.
So all these systems that are like fight or flight are activated, and then also you're elevating your actual core body temperature. Both of those are anti-sleep aids.
Yes, absolutely. They're like antithetical to sleep. So, I get that that's hard for some people. Sometimes your only option for your workout is at the end of the day, and that can be really challenging because working out is important, and having, doing fitness obviously is important. It's something that we both prioritize.
Yep.
But to the extent that you can, moving your hardest workouts, especially your hardest like metabolic workouts or metcons, away from bedtime is going to be helpful for you in getting better quality sleep.
Excellent. So that's one thing that you can do to help us like create this better consistency and fall asleep better. We've mentioned a couple others. Let's also talk about, this is a really interesting one that I learned from Justine actually just this week, and that's exposing yourself to sunlight early in the morning. What the heck is going on there?
Okay, so this is one I really like talking about because it is new for a lot of people.
Yeah, this is relatively recent research too.
It is, yeah, and it is very actually well defined in the research. Like there's lots of papers out there to support this. So a lot of people when they're thinking about sleep and augmenting light, we've really vilified light in kind of like the sleep world, and people are going out and buying blue light blockers and wearing them all day long because they're afraid that that's going to interrupt their sleep patterns or be bad for their eyeballs.
Which is good to do later in the afternoon.
Good to do later in the afternoon. So you really only want to decrease your light exposure when you're getting close to bedtime. And the thing is that you want to do the most that you can to create an environment for sleep, close to sleep. And then you want to do the opposite during the hours that you want to be awake. You can also cue your body to be more active, more energetic, be in a better mood by doing more things that tell your body that it's time to be awake now. First thing in the morning, like before 10 a.m. After 10 a.m., you're going to lose the effectiveness of this. Okay. You want to get what's called low angle sunlight. And the reason why that's important is it has to do with the contrast of the blues and the yellows and the actual quality of the light hitting some receptors in your eyeballs that really strongly cue your brain that you're awake now and that it's morning. And it gives a timing signal to your brain that both gives you a nice bump in your cortisol, which research shows when you have a big cortisol bump when you first wake up, it's actually much better for your mental state and your mood. If that cortisol bump comes too much later in the day, it's actually associated with depression and certain psychological challenges that people have with their mental state. But having a nice big boost of cortisol first thing in the morning, super healthy for you, sets you metabolically on a great path, and it also starts a countdown timer essentially in your head for when melatonin is going to be released later in the day. So essentially this bright light exposure first thing in the morning anchors your timing, anchors your whole body clock for your 24-hour period, and will allow all of your natural processes to function on a more appropriate rhythm.
That's super cool. So it's literally like you're waking up and you're pressing a stopwatch or like a countdown timer on, all right, yes, several hours down the road, we're going to be going to bed, like a long time from now. But if we're not getting that early morning sun exposure, we might feel less awake during the day, and we also might not sleep as well that night.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
Let's make this really simple for people. On a very sunny day, that's going to be like 30 to 60 seconds, but you actually have to be outside. And then if it's a less sunny day, 5 to 10 minutes. So it's not a ton of time. So even in the winter, you can do this. You can go outside for a few minutes, have real natural sunlight interacting with the receptors in your eyes, and that's actually going to help to anchor your day and create better biological rhythms.
And you like, I mean, a simple practice, like we like habit stacking. One of my favorite books my buddy wrote, Atomic Habits by James Clear, fantastic book. He just talks about like habit stacking. Like in the morning, you wake up, you do X, you do Y, you do Z. You can just add this to your morning coffee. Rather than taking your morning coffee on a chair in front of the TV, watching the news, maybe just like go outside and meditate or just think. And all right, so the final tip, and there's a lot more like this inside of our course, Recovery RX, but the final tip for this particular video is sleep in a colder room. Why?
So we touched on this a little bit earlier when we were talking about exercising earlier in the day. So in the natural rhythm of the world, it's always a little bit colder at nighttime than it is during the day. So our biology expects that when we're going to sleep at night, it's going to be a slightly cooler environment, and that drop in core temperature helps to initiate deep sleep and to create more robust electrical signals in our brain during our deep sleep, so it improves the sleep quality. And I'm not saying you have to sleep in a freezing cold room. I'm one of those people, I don't like a particularly cold environment.
You're not sleeping in a 57-degree.
Absolutely not. Like if your happy daytime temperature is a 72, bumping yours down to a 70 or a 69, that's going to be enough. It's just a little bit cooler than your comfortable daytime temperature.
Interesting, fascinating. I know for me personally that I love sleeping in a colder room. There's something about sleeping in a hot room that just keeps me awake and restless all night long. But then when I drop that temperature just a little bit, man, I fall asleep so much easier. And I've even gotten a bed air conditioner to help with that because I'm such a diva when it comes to it. But it does help. It does help cooling yourself down a little bit. Will help. I mean, I know anecdotally it helps me fall asleep way faster. So there you have it, folks. Those are 5 different tips that you can use as a CrossFitter, or really as anyone, to help yourself sleep better, which is the base. That is the most important aspect of recovery. And like we mentioned in the course many times during Recovery RX, the gains, the skills, all the positive things that we get from the gym aren't realized until we actually go to sleep and recover. So if you're just working out really hard and you haven't focused on your recovery, you haven't even thought about sleep really much lately, all you do is look at your Whoop score and you're like, ah, man, I suck. But you're not actually doing anything to optimize it and work on your HRV and total sleep time and your consistency, you are missing a huge amount of growth in your fitness and in your potential as an athlete. So if you would like to learn more about how to recover better so that you're getting everything out of the gym, then you can go to wadprep.com/recovery to download our ultimate guide to recovery. Or if you really want to step up your game, we have Recovery RX. It's our brand new flagship course that I made with Dr. Justine and Dr. CJ, which is our head coach here at WADPrep. And this course will take you step by step along with 8 weeks worth of challenges to help you optimize and dial in your sleep environment and training schedule and all these other amazing factors that will help you level up both your fitness, your overall happiness and health, and oh yeah, your performance. So if you want to grab those things, check the links down below. In the comments, please let us know, specifically let Doc Justine know, because she helped us create the outline of this video. Let her know what is the one thing that's missing in your recovery sleep protocol that you learned about in this video that you're going to start trying to implement. I know for me, it's that morning sunlight. I did it this morning. I woke up, I had to get something ready before our video shoot, and I was like, hey, look, I'm outside in the sun. And I kind of just like embraced it. It was kind of nice. I liked it. I can't necessarily say it's had a huge effect on my day, but I do kind of feel energetic. So I'll take it. So leave a comment below, let us know what you think, and we'll see you in the next video. And oh, by the way, if you like this at all, you're going to love Recovery RX.
How did I do? Really? Start the clock again. One more time. I'm running it back. Running it back. Here we go. Running it back. Just one more time. That's it.